Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. I'm Harper LaBelle, along with our founder, co-host, and scout leader, that's Vincent Turner, and our producer and engineer, Logan Landers, and this is our Draft Prospect Show. And every now and then, you're going to find a needle in a haystack and a diamond in the rough. And Vincent, this is a show that we're going to do for the next 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk about one of those guys that hardly anybody knows anything about. And on draft day, there'll be a large population of folks that are going to go, who? From where? But at 6'2", 260 pounds, give or take, doesn't quite have the height, doesn't quite have all the parameters, maybe a little too short in his length and his arm size. Oh, but I'll tell you what, there's a guy that can play football. His name is David Walker. He's a defensive end from Central Arkansas. He won the Buchanan Award, and people, especially with the Senior Bowl, with the Shrine Games, with the Combine coming up, they're going to know a little bit more about this young man, and he's really earned a spot to be on our show because of how well he's played, and I'm glad that you found him and introduced him to me, and let's introduce him to the rest of our audience. David Walker here from Central Arkansas.
Well, people that's been following me over the years of 100 Yards Football know I attended the University of Arkansas. So I got friends that moved back that's still in that state. And I got a couple of friends that are from Stuttgart, Arkansas, where Mr. Walker's from, which is 45 miles from Little Rock, about 110 miles from my hometown, the 901 Memphis, Tennessee. And a gentleman that people that I talked to yesterday, two people said they saw him play during the year. He goes to Central Arkansas, which is in Conway, Arkansas. And if you don't know the famous and the names behind that school, I don't know where you're at as a sports fan. The great Scottie Pippen attended there. And the great Monty Coleman that played linebacker for the Washington / Commandos Redskins. That's for you. You know what I'm talking about down there in Key West. This is where this young man played football at. And one thing that I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, I said, man, tell me the truth. We went to school together. Tell me whose game he's like. He said, Vincent, I'm going to tell you this. Remember when we went to see Oklahoma State when we was freshmen in Little Rock Memorial Stadium? He got a little bit of Dexter Manley in him. Back to you, Hart.
Wow, that's interesting. I thought he was going to go with like a Von Miller type thing, but I'll take Dexter Manley. Now, I don't need the problems off the field, but Dexter on the field, Charles Mann and Dave Butts, man, what a combination of talent they had. All right, David Walker, some of the basics that you need to know. He's 6'2", 260. He's a senior. Last year, he had 68 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 5 passes deflected, 4 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. And again, he's the Buck Buchanan Award winner for 2024. The year previous in 23, he had 55 pressures on the quarterback. That wasn't calculated most recently. He had 12 sacks. He had 41 credited hurries. In other words, he was in a quarterback's face when he was ready to throw. And he also had 4 forced fumbles that year. So 8 forced fumbles. He's around the football. He's got a great first step. He's a very explosive guy, one of the most explosive and powerful pass rushers. He plays with a passion, and he gets to the quarterback. He rarely misses. He's got multiple moves. He's got some things that he does in terms of his pressure, to knock a tackle back, a bigger guy. But let's be honest with one another. Central Arkansas isn't playing the same type of ball that the Razorbacks are, or that those Bayou Bengals are, or that the Longhorns are. So we understand that, but he still has the same type of effort that you would want as if he were playing at one of those schools or against them. So there's some things that he does that scouts are going to be looking at. His combine is going to be critical. Right now, he's a day 3 guy, Vincent. Let's be candid right there. He's going to be a guy that's going to go anywhere from the 3rd to 5th or 6th round. But I think he'll be very, very happy to be on anybody's roster, especially when he's got multiple moves. He can bull rush. He can do the 2-hand swipe with anybody. He's a better athlete than most of the guys that he goes against. And he can close the arc faster than most guys do because of his strength and his ability to run into a tackle and maintain the contact with them. He doesn't have to go around nearly as much. Those are some of the takeaways that I have that this young man has that are going to make him a draft pick that somebody's going to be very, very happy with.
Talking to my connect yesterday, they said this gentleman, they seen him play twice in person, say he's athletic as hell. It says like he plays with his hair on fire. And then I said, well, hey, man, from a pass rushing standpoint, give me some names that you love that you can compare to. A young Richard Dent when he was at Tennessee State. A young Andre Tippett when he was at Iowa. Not when they was in the league, now when they was in college. Then he told me, Vince, you remember when you used to come home and went down, we saw Ole Miss play? When you was a senior, you got a little bit of Freddie Joe Nunn, who passed away a couple years ago. There was a first-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals. And then another guy who I saw play in high school, had a decent career at the University of Memphis, went on and played with the Houston Oilers for a while. Phenomenal football player, Mr. Eric Ferris. He said, this guy right here is going to come every play, man. Now, he's playing against lesser competition. Don't get me wrong, but he said, hey, man, when it's all said and done, this guy might be one of the biggest surprises in the 2025 NFL draft.
Yeah.
Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is, because he hasn't gone against, a 6'6", 300-pounder who has the same athleticism as a SEC or an ACC type guard or tackle. But we're going to find out. Against the run, this is one of the things, because he's 260, I think he's going to fare a little bit better than the 240-pound guy that's in the same type of position with him. But he has great pursuit. He chases down the ball like he wants it, like he's playing with his hair on fire, like someone wants to steal his birthday. He'll fight against tackles and guards in one-on-ones in ways that other guys don't who are bigger. He has great leverage against bigger players. He can slash and rip and get through the line. And one of the things that will be interesting for me is, especially in some of these all-star games, is how does he set the edge?
Mm-hmm.
How does he stay put? Does he get out quickly and then set the edge so he forces the back to go to the inside and let a safety or a linebacker? Or does he try to play and fight and whatever and then get beat to the outside? I think that'll be a critical component into watching how he does this. And probably on purpose, there'll be some coaches that want to see some sweeps and tosses and pitches so that he gets challenged in a way so they've got a better ascertation of where he is. One of the biggest weaknesses he has, let's be candid, at 6'2", 260, he played at a small school. We don't know how strong he can be, but we know that might be something that every player has to work on. And his experience against top-level opponents, that's just a basic. If you go to a smaller school, you're going to have to deal with that, no matter where you are. And guess what? If you're at a bigger school, that is something that can be used against you if you don't play well against, let's say, Auburn or a Penn State or any of the other big schools that are out there. So we're going to see. But final words from you, Vincent, regarding this young man that you had to call home to be able to find out a little bit more about him. But boy, were you glad you did.
Stuttgart, Arkansas, where the young man is from. He went to Southern Arkansas, which is in Magnolia, his first 2 years in school. 2 words about Mr. Walker: production and explosive. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Yeah. And this happens a lot, folks, is you get a guy that when he's 15, 16, 17 in high school, they're underdeveloped in terms of, they're just not the maturity that they're going to be when they're 18 or 19. You're just not. You don't have the same body size. And I'm not saying you give up, but you're smaller. You're not ready. You're less mature than you're going to be. And because of that, you don't get recruited as heavily. So goes to a small school, stays in a small school, but goes to a bigger small school and makes a name for himself. And next thing you know, in April, he's going to be getting a phone call from somebody because of how good he developed over a short period of time and caught up with the rest of the group. So our best wishes to David Walker, the defensive end. He's from Central Arkansas, and he's from Stuttgart, which I have never been, but Vincent seems to make me think that I want to go there and maybe have some catfish. Who knows? But I look forward to learning more about him, and I hope you guys do as well. Final thoughts, Vincent?
I think this guy is going to be a player at the next level. Remember this now, even though he didn't play against the high-level competition, he was very productive in his competition at the FCS level. I want y'all to remember that. One more time, he was productive at the FCS level. And there's been some great football players that's played a long time. I don't have to say no more. He comes from Central Arkansas, baby. Scottie Pippen, one of the top, 50 players ever in the NBA history. Marty Coleman, Super Bowl champion linebacker with the Washington Redskins. Dexter Manley's teammate. Back to you, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Well, let's hope that David Walker makes a name for himself, and for obvious reasons, we wish him the best in the upcoming NFL draft. So for Vincent Turner, for Logan Landers, our producer and engineer, I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for tuning in to 100 Yards of Football. This is our Draft Prospect Show. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a fantastic day, everybody.